My best friend Jenny is a marvel to me. Cool, funny, insanely talented beauty alchemist with nearly 30 years of experience transforming faces. From fellow moms to A-list celebrities you know and love. Her passion for healing has quite literally changed my life and continues to teach me.
My best friend Kirsten is the epitome of a cool chick. Her fashion sense is as iconic and sexy as the brand consultancy she founded. Together we laugh, learn, and navigate life, motherhood, and business together.
So pour a glass of rosé or grab a matcha and join us as we talk about all the things that bring a higher vibration to life and to friendship.
Do you want to move it here? I wonder if that would be better.
Yeah, visually it doesn't bother me.
Oh, that's great.
Testy, testy, 1, 2. And then would I tilt it towards you or towards us? Towards you, right? Feels like a dumb question. I still don't know the answer to it. Testy.
Testy. Oh, God.
Gonna have to take down that printer.
Next episode.
That looks weird. I need my water.
We're doing great. We're doing really great.
Well, so we should do a check-in.
Great.
But I feel like this episode is going to be a bit of a check-in. This will be a raw one for sure.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of, well, first of all, how you doing?
Not great.
Okay.
Not great. I mean, I feel like I could elaborate, but I probably won't. But let's just say that, yeah, sometimes life is not smooth. Sometimes there's a lot of bumps in the road with relationships, and when you're doing all the things, business, kids, just life is, sometimes incredibly overwhelming. And I think it's a perfect moment to talk about what we're going to talk about today, which is menopause and perimenopause. And, I am certainly not an expert. You're not an expert, but we're going to just really talk about our own experience. And what I would want to share with our listeners, really what has worked for me and what I wish I would have known before I'm at where I'm at.
Yeah, totally. So I think it's just such a big part of our lives and the world that we're living in and so many things that I think we'll do a lot of episodes around menopause, perimenopause, all of the parts and pieces. But I think the starting point and we just being able to share like where we're at and how we got here. And I think, talking about kind of our community, which I think, is a pretty good range of ages and where we discovered, and we, are constantly sharing podcasts or books and just sharing that kind of personal journey.
Yeah.
But I think it's a great place to start. You started this journey first.
I did. Well, here's what I love. Okay, so
yeah, fair enough.
The typical age for women to start perimenopause is 51. Okay, that's kind of.
Oh, is that typical? I'm 51. Okay.
Yeah.
So are you.
And what's interesting is it actually starts 7 to 10 years before that. So I didn't know this, but apparently it really depends on your race also of when you start. Wow. Yeah. So, but for Caucasians, it's really 51 is when it starts.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Okay.
So if we could track back the last 7 to 10 years where possibly symptoms started happening. And I think another interesting point is that, when I used to think of menopause or perimenopause, I would think of hot flashes, night sweats, dry vaginal, dry vaginas, like all the awful things. Yeah. And a lot of times those symptoms never show up for women, or it's really tolerable. And for some women, it's completely intolerable.
Right.
And what I find interesting is there's over 133 documented possible perimenopause and menopause symptoms, which is fascinating.
That's a lot. That feels like it could be everything.
Yeah.
But so it's so varied for everybody. And I think it's also, to your point, like it's so scary of what it's going to be. Like I never thought about it. So I didn't think about any of those things until I had to. But the fact is that it's seemingly all of these things, and it's actually, at least in my experience, not.
Yeah.
And I think kind of debunking all of that will be interesting.
Yeah. So I'll state again, I am definitely not an expert, but I think that some of this information that we could share would be very helpful for people.
For sure.
Because first and foremost, there's so much conflicting information. That's, I think, where it gets scary is what you're talking about is, are we at more risk of a heart attack? Do we do HRT or not? Do we,
Well, that was, I think, a big thing of and I really didn't think about it as, it's typical me, but I do think the thing that I understood to be true was that, people don't do HRT, it causes cancer and it's bad and it's all of these things. So I didn't even know if I didn't think about it, but when I started thinking about it and educating myself, it was a preconceived notion that I had going into it.
Yeah. So there's two doctors that I want to share with our listeners. The first one is Dr. Louise Newsom. And I think she's a general practitioner, but she's also like a menopause specialist.
Is this the Australian?
She's UK.
Sorry.
I think she was really the first person that highlighted and kind of normalized some of the symptoms that I was experiencing. I'll just share my symptoms really showed up in anxiety, depression, joint pain, brain fog, clearly.
What did you say? So when did this start? When did you start feeling, and when were you like, oh, maybe this is...
Yeah, it's such a gradual thing. It wasn't like I just woke up one day anxious. For me, it was like a lot of racing thoughts, particularly when I would go to bed. Had a very hard time settling into bed, where my husband next to me would just be like snoring within 5 minutes of hitting the pillow. But then he waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, right? Our symptoms couldn't be any different. So sometimes it would take me almost 2 hours to actually fall asleep. Just really racy thoughts.
5 years ago, 2 years ago?
Yeah, if I were to track it, it was probably, the pandemic didn't help.
You had a lot of these things in the pandemic,
it was like
I'm not sure it was.
These things were happening simultaneously. Who's to say which was which?
Right.
During the pandemic, I had to shut my business down multiple times. And so that was a wave of depression that crushed me. But was it also related to my symptoms being perimenopausal? I would say 100% sure. Because, if we're going to backtrack 7 years or so, that's exactly what was going on for me. And then joint pain, I have a lot of rheumatic issues in my fingers. That's why one of the reasons why I created Beauty Grass, actually, the salve, was to help my fingers.
Salve's amazing.
The salve's amazing. So I literally would wake up and I was like, how am I actually going to give a facial when my joints are hurting that bad? So that was going on, but I just attributed it to over usage, overworking my hands.
Right. Yeah. That's so interesting, tying it all together. Because I remember when you were talking about that and it felt very normal.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing about all this stuff. It's a very normal thing to be like, oh, well, that makes sense that it's happening.
Yeah.
But the fact that it could really be hormone
related. Dr. Louise Newsom really highlights all of the different possible symptoms. And for me, she really normalized, oh my God, that's what I was experiencing. Right. So when I first went into my doctor to get my hormones tested, because I knew something was wrong. Okay. I knew I was having catastrophizing.
Yeah, you got it. You got it.
Catastrophizing thoughts. And I knew that wasn't normal. That wasn't my normal Jenny that showed up.
Yep.
And so I think when I went in to see her and explained what I was going through, she said, well, we're not going to test your hormones because your hormones fluctuate at different, times, that from day to day, sometimes from hour to hour. And I said, yeah, I know, but I kind of just want a baseline to see where I'm at. At least the sex hormones. Where's my testosterone? Where's my progesterone? And where's my estrogen? And she literally wouldn't call labs for me.
Amazing.
And she suggested that I go on an antidepressant, which in Western medicine, that's what they do.
It's the cure-all. Yeah, that's what
they do. And
that I think your experience of that, I think is pretty typical.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty typical.
For sure. And I think that
it's fucked up.
What it is incredibly fucked up because it's such a missed opportunity. Psychiatrists they're not going to prescribe HRT. They're going to prescribe you something that's masking.
Right.
Right. There's nothing wrong with going through menopause. This is like, we've earned this.
Right. Well, I think that's what's rad about it is like, it's really, if you really dig into it and understand it as I'm learning and trying to, like, it's really actually an empowering thing.
Yes.
Versus oh shit.
Yes. So I feel like, I don't know how in 2024, we are so just scratching the surface of what's going on for us as women. If this shit affects more than half of the population. And it doesn't just affect women, it's affecting, our kids. It affects our partners. So there's all of these incredible repercussions of us feeling miserable, to be honest. And why should we? So I love Dr. Newsom. She's kind of like, why should we suffer through, if you could take something to alleviate some of these terrible feelings, why not do that?
Okay, so then you listen to this podcast.
So I listened to this podcast. I shared it with everybody.
Yeah, this is what.
Yes, I shared it with everybody I knew. And I think that really got me on, okay, we're going to try these things. For me personally, the things that I did after that, after seeing my doctor, and I was like, should I send her this information that I have? No, we didn't do any of that. We're not going to try to educate the doctor. Here's the thing that I want to share is this is something you really need to take into your own hands.
Yeah, you need to be your self-advocate. This is one of those situations.
And not one thing is going to fit for everybody. And I think trying a few things and really having a good gauge on how you feel in your body, that is really important, because oftentimes we're not in connection with that mind-body thing, right? Like, after going to my doctor and having that conversation, I declined taking antidepressants, and I thought, what is a better solution for me? So I went to my acupuncturist, and I was like, this is what I really want to focus on. Okay. And so we started treatments specifically for balancing my hormones. And she put me on a sublingual progesterone. So something that I put in my mouth. Okay. It was like a morning and night. It's from BioMatrix. So I take 6 drops in my mouth morning and night.
Okay. So
and
consistently
then,
throughout.
Yeah, so that's my progesterone. Okay. And then my estrogen, which is estradiol, is I put this on the inside of my wrist. You put it up here, right?
I put it on my face now.
Oh, now you put it on your face. Yeah, I've been starting to put it on my neck, actually.
Yeah.
So I do this morning and night. And so I started there. And I wasn't like, oh my God, I feel cured. That was it. But I certainly felt less brain foggy. My joints felt better. Another thing that I was really concerned with was I felt like everything just kind of falling.
Yeah, that'd be concerning.
Yeah. Like my muscle tone, like I was like, oh my God, I've always had really nice arms just from, what my work is. And I was like, do I have cellulite on my fucking arms? Right. So there was these very noticeable things happening.
Yeah.
Where I was like, no, we're not doing this. Started those 2 things, and then went to get my blood work up so I could see a very comprehensive view of what was going on. Just ended up going to this woman in Santa Monica named Melanie, and she just did a blood panel for me and then prescribed the testosterone. Right. So then I started taking the lozenge of testosterone. So before you could only have injected testosterone. Oh. And there's creams too that you can use. But the sublingual lozenge is, it's actually really great. So I just doubled my dosage of that. So then 3 months later, I started with Melanie after looking at my comprehensive blood work. And so right now what I'm doing is those 3 hormones and doing my blood work every 3 months.
Okay.
And my testosterone is slowly rising. My estrogen and my progesterone are like on point. So we're good there.
Okay. I love it. All right.
But is it the fix for me? Like, no. Right. I think it's better, certainly better. And I just had a very woo-woo reading from somebody that was your birthday, Kev, I can't wait for you to get this reading.
Thank you.
But it's this woman that she's a channel. And so I asked the question, what plant medicine am I most in alignment with? And what she did say was, your constitution is very much open to herbs and herbal remedies. So she said 3 times in a row. Hormone harmony. She said it 3 times in a row. She was
Oh,
like,
really?
hormone harmony, hormone harmony. And it's so funny because when I was looking for different supplements to research for this podcast, that was the first one that popped up.
Oh, it's like a thing in and of itself?
Yeah, it's called hormone
advertising.
Well, I bought it.
Of course.
Okay, so I haven't started it.
I can't wait to try it myself. I don't even know
because
what
it came from the divine. Like, you better fucking start it.
100%.
Maybe when we do our more thorough breakdown of menopause, this is not just one conversation. This is kind of just our own journey.
Right, exactly.
So once I start taking that,
all right,
maybe that is the cure all.
Yeah, I'm in. Okay.
So tell me about your journey.
So let's see. So I didn't really, it wasn't really registering. Like, I don't buy into those types of things, and I don't see myself as like
aging.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah.
You don't buy into getting older.
No.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think I buy into like, I have no problem with aging, but I think like always being the best version of yourself and like continuing to do all of the things. Like, we have friends and everybody's experiencing it at different levels, different ages, kind of all the things. So very aware of it, but didn't necessarily see it for myself until it started taking me longer to have an orgasm. Then I was like, holy fuck.
What's going on?
I've got to figure this out.
Hold the phone.
Yeah. So that was obviously the only thing that made me do anything about it, which tracks. So I went to my gynecologist, who I adore. She's like, I don't think you'll have a problem with menopause, just looking at you and seeing, like, I think it'll be fine.
Love that. Just looking at you. You look great. You're not going to deal with any vaginal dryness. Nope.
And she did say, like, why don't you try DHEA, right?
Yeah.
So
I think I told you about.
Yes. DHEA. Yeah.
Yes.
I think I jumped out to Erewhon and got whatever you told me to get.
Yeah.
So did that. I think that was helpful. And then, I think I heard the podcast that you sent, because it was early on. And I heard that podcast. I swear she was Australian, but okay, maybe British.
Maybe she is. Maybe, yeah.
And I thought it was really like, it wasn't so much for me identifying with the things that I was feeling at the time necessarily, like symptoms or anything like that, but it was really her in my head debunking like what I'd thought about HRT, right? That it was like, oh, it was terrible. It was caused cancer, blah, blah, blah. That whole study was fucking basically bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
It was incorrectly done. And like, it's so like in our medical industry, right? So like, this is all what we're walking around thinking that's true, and it's completely bullshit.
Yeah. Like my mom specifically said, when I said, Mom, did you ever go on hormones? Oh God, no.
Right.
And I was like, well, why? Oh God, no.
Right.
Even now that generation thinks, well, it's more linked to, you have a cancer risk and all these other horrible things.
Right. Totally.
Which is simply not true.
Totally. So that kind of, I think, unlocked something to me. And then I was like, oh, I can become the optimum version of myself, which, as you know, is something that I always look to do in whatever age version, like workout, whatever. So then I was like, oh, this is really interesting. And I think it was the time that I came from my hair colorist, and he was telling me about an oleo scan that can cleanse all of the metals out of your body. And I was fascinated by this. And so like, there's only a few people that do it in LA. So I found this person, and then somehow I think through that podcast and like asking about it, then pushed to like, oh, I want to get tested and see, because I do think I noticed my mood, and I didn't know if it was what I was going through at the time. I think I asked you this, or something happening, or am I just really like in a bitchy mood, like on a consistent basis? Yeah. So I think I had that self-awareness and then got tested for all of the different things. And then was like, I want to try all the things. And I like that she was very holistic about it. Like, I got the Dutch test, which is like you pee every 3 hours at different times, and it shows what you have. And like, I'm on very mild, what is it? Progesterone and Estradiol, but they're creams. And so what's it called? Compound. So it's
compounded.
Different amount, different times of the month.
Yeah. So yours has like a little cap, and it's like one turn is like 2 mLs and depending on where you are in your cycle, which astounds me that you've got one still.
I do.
Yeah.
Thank
you. Amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I could kind of do without it though.
Really?
I mean,
yeah, I guess so.
I think it's helped. Like, I think my mood, I think everything is much better, but I don't think it's like, you hear people that are like, oh, the minute I had that estrogen cream, it was like, I didn't feel that.
Yeah.
I didn't feel that.
I didn't either.
Yeah. So that, and then the other thing that she noticed was my cortisol was really low. So then that's something that I take now in the afternoon.
Was your cortisol low or your cortisol levels high?
I don't know.
Because if you have cortisol levels, I think if your cortisol levels are high, that means that you have high stress. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know. So I take something to
Yeah.
not make them what they are.
Okay.
Which tracks.
What do you take? Like a supplement?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I want to share DHEA was really helpful for me, and it's a tincture. The one that I get is from BioMatrix, and you just put it in your mouth. The dosage is 2 drops, but I'd probably do like 6 drops in my mouth. And DHEA, it's actually a hormone that it helps with the depression, but it's produced by your adrenal glands. So a lot of times that fatigue and like burnout is you've got these low levels. So it's kind of a quick fix, and I think anybody in their 30s could benefit from taking that.
That's where to start. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the cortisol.
Okay. So yeah, great. So this is an adrenal support.
I take one at like 2 p.m.
Great.
And the other thing that I started taking was, so then I started listening to like more and more podcasts, right? Like the group kind of you sent around other podcasts. Laura sent one, like different people, Randy. And so I noticed kind of my mood wasn't great. So then this was in one of the ones I think that Laura sent through, rhodiola.
Mm-hmm. It's a flower.
And I do think it's helped.
Yeah.
I don't know what it does.
Great.
Okay. So now it's started looking at more podcasts, thinking about like working out wise and aging wise.
And tell me what's changed there, because we're all talking about the weighted vest now.
So the weighted vest, which could somebody make a fucking good looking weighted vest?
Yeah. Why don't you
but
design
that
one?
Has to be more than it has to be, I guess, 10 to 15 pounds. So
I think 12 pounds is probably
okay. But I found a cute one, but it's only 5 pounds, and it's like $200-$300 for like 5 pounds.
Yeah. Can you stuff it more weights in there?
No. That's what I guess it's supposed to be. You should. Yeah. It should be created like that, but they're just the dumbest things known to mankind. So like somebody needs to make a cool one. And it's very possible. Like that shouldn't be hard.
For sure.
So that, and then the amount of protein.
Yep.
That we're supposed to be taking as menopausing, perimenopausing human beings is like fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then started taking creatine. And then I think the biggest change that I've had, because I intermittent fast and I'll typically work out in the mornings. So now I started to have protein before that.
Because I read that perimenopausal women shouldn't do intermittent fasting, and nor should they do the cold plunge.
Yeah. I feel like intermittent fasting works for me. I enjoy it. So like I have heard that on various things.
Would you enjoy it, or you're not a big eater?
I don't like feeling full.
Yeah.
I hate feeling full. Yeah. And if I eat them, then I'll like be tired, and I really
This stage in our life, we are supposed to be eating more food, more fiber, right? More protein. And I think those things, to feel optimally, those are the things that we really need to do. Yeah. And certain vitamins too, like, so the creatine, amazing with the amino acid, the weighted vest, fiber, right? We need at least 30, we need at least 25 grams of fiber, but I think that 35 is optimal. If you can get 35 grams of fiber, you're killing it.
But the protein we need is like our body weight.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
Like it's like you can't get enough protein, literally. Yeah. So I have my protein powders. I take protein.
Yes.
Like the amount of protein I'm ingesting is like, I don't have enough time in the day to ingest as much protein as I need to be ingesting.
Yeah.
Like that could just be a full-time thing of just ingesting protein.
Yeah, it's a lot. But the fiber is key, right? You can get those through beans, which you hate. Avocado, chia. What beans would you eat?
I like black beans and a bean and cheese burrito. Delicious.
Okay, for sure. Delicious. Chia, flax, berries, fiber supplements. Those are all really helpful. You like the psyllium husk?
Yeah. So I take that. Okay.
And our exercise, it's interesting, how much it's changed in the sense of like, we used to kind of be in this cardio phase, right? Like we grew up 80s, 90s, where it was all about cardio. And now it's about, lifting weights.
Well, I'd say that's the biggest other change for me is like, I'm not a big, like I haven't lifted weights in like, I don't know, fucking 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
But bone density, blah, 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 started doing that. Right.
Yeah.
So started lifting weights. Yeah.
Yeah. So less cardio, more weight training.
How about a yes and?
Well, no, I think it's less cardio. I think we need we need cardio,
Right.
but less than what we think.
Less cardio, more protein, more weight.
It's a lot. And exercising, flipping that switch of not exercising to like be thin and to lose weight, exercising to be strong and fit.
Right. Which I think is the right mentality anyways, for ourselves, but also to be the examples, especially to our daughters.
Kids. Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about a little bit about some supplementation that's really important, which vitamin D. And so when I first got my blood work up, I was really low in vitamin D, which was such a surprise to me. Yeah, so I started supplementing. You should
listen to our sun episode.
And that's the thing. I put my body in the sun, which is so interesting. So wasn't doing that enough apparently. So vitamin D, really important. Your omega fatty acids, super important. Mm-hmm. One thing I love is Seabuckthorn berry. It's like a oil, Seabuckthorn. It's in like every beauty grass product, pretty much.
Right, that's why.
It's a little berry found in the Himalayas, actually in Pacific Northwest too. But there's a berry, and then there's also the seed. Both are incredibly beneficial. One is great for like inflammation on the skin, but my point is it has the full spectrum of omegas, 3, 6, 9, and 7. Which is strictly for like your hair, skin, and nails. Oh. But it's a plant source, so it's not an omega from a fish. So it's a really great supplement. I do not have that in your repertoire.
Do you know how much salmon I eat? My omegas are like pretty,
you're good.
Yeah,
great.
Yeah. When I eat, that's what I want.
Yeah, I think if you can't get that through food, then you would for sure need to supplement.
Totally.
And then just some other herbs that are really helpful. Well, I love hibiscus tea because all the other amazing benefits for the skin, but hibiscus tea can help with the hormone imbalances. Milk thistle, ginger, black cohosh, red clover. These are all really great either in tinctures or you can just drink them as tea, just an herbal tea. And I think 30s, 40s, I mean, we should just be having more herbal tea, more herbal. It's just an easy remedy.
Yeah, I'm down for herbal tea.
Yeah. And then Heart and Soil product that I love,
right?
The beef organs.
They rebrand that.
I know.
Yeah. Just like, could you give me the benefit of it versus like beef organs?
Yeah, it's pretty. It's in your face, isn't it?
Yeah,
yeah, it really is. Okay, so they have a new product called Her Package, which I love.
see, asking it.
Yeah,
shall be
Her Package, which kind of says it all, right? So not only you're supporting your gut microbiome, you're supporting your vaginal microbiome and all the microbiomes, all the freaking biomes. Yeah. Is there anything else we want to? Magnesium is a really important supplement.
Oh shit!
If you can't get magnesium through food, then you need to definitely get the magnesium glycinate. Is my optimal top choice.
I feel like that's a big one because I think one of the things that does change is sleep. At least for me, like sleep has changed, right? And I think I'm getting it back on track. And I think the hormones, the magnesium has helped. But I think that is a big thing that does get disrupted is sleep. Whether for you it was falling asleep. For me, it wasn't falling asleep. It was waking up in the middle of the night, always at like 2:11 or 2:15 or 13 or whatever the fuck it was. And then going back to sleep. So I do think that's a part of this process. At least it has been for me.
Yeah. So this is a journey. This is our journey. I'm glad to be doing this journey with you because I don't feel so isolated because I feel like this can be an isolating time if you're not talking about it and sharing your information and, breaking this shit down.
I think that's really important. And I think worth like really digging into a bit is like community, and sharing this kind of thing. And like, we are really lucky to have a very tight, supportive, like group of women that are like researching and trying to find out and trying to share this with each other. Yeah. And so there's always something and there's always conversation. There's always, I'm going through this, and we have the opportunity and the vulnerability to share it with each other. And I think that's a really important part of this process and this journey for sure.
And there's the other doctor that I wanted to share was Dr. Mary Claire Harber. Yeah. She's amazing. So if you follow, they both have Instagram pages that you can follow. They're on a ton of
they're on
podcasts.
All the socials.
Yeah. Your journey is unique. Mm-hmm. Your journey and like self-advocating, we talked about before, is really important. Yeah. It's one size doesn't fit all, but I think there's a lot of things that you can do to get support.
Yeah.
And first and foremost, talk about it.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing.
Talk about it. Talk about it. Break it down with your homies. It's so nice that we you're right. We do have this range in our age, and we all have something so powerful and knowledge, and like the knowledge that we share is so helpful for all of us. And yeah, I'm in such appreciation of that.
I think it's so, so important, and clearly not happening enough. I think it happens in our lives, in our group, but I don't think that's typical.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too that men need to have like a menopause support group.
100%. And it's like, it's not a thing that's like, here today, gone. No, it's like a thing. And I think having the support and the knowledge of that and being able to talk about it is important.
Yeah. My husband is part of a men's group, team, whatever you want to call it, just a group to support other men to be better men. Which is
awesome. Yeah.
And he led a group where it was about this, right?
So cool.
I forget how they like laid it out, but it was, basically all the symptoms, like your wives, like they may be having different symptoms, but we need to show up for them in this certain way, which makes me confused because I can't stand him right now.
Sorry, Spence.
Anyways, so I think that is really important for men not to be in the dark with this, because it does affect more than half of the population, and it affects all of us. It affects our families.
Totally. And talk about it with your kids. Like I talk about it with my kids, so they're not so afraid of it or unknown. When Sailor goes through it, she's not like, what the fuck is this? She's like, oh yeah, this was a thing.
Yeah. Because I did ask my mom, like, what were your symptoms like? And she was like, I didn't really have any symptoms. And I was like, really? But she was also of that generation where there was a lot of shame.
Similar, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, you didn't have any, really? Yeah. And now looking back at my childhood, like, oh boy, was she ever going through it. But like wasn't talking about it or naming it and just a raging emotional
hot flash.
Yes. So yeah, that I think you're doing everybody a service to share what's going on with you. Even sometimes if you don't even know really what it is, but we can kind of gauge now, like let's chalk it up to one of those 133 symptoms, like put it in that box because it's probably a hormone related issue.
Ready for a little rapid fire? See, because I can't remember anything because my brain's in fog.
Brain fog.
Yeah. All right.
You should order that Happy Harmony.
I mean, obviously, I'm going. Best thing you ate this month? This week.
This week.
Yeah.
I would say that amazing cheese board.
Plate.
The cheese board.
Jenny made an amazing cheese board, an amazing party for my birthday.
30th.
It was amazing. My 30th birthday. Yeah. It was great. It was beautiful. Yeah. It was amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that cheese board was
that was really good.
Oh, what gave you the most pleasure this week?
I haven't been experiencing a lot of pleasure, but I would say a walk on the beach was pretty pleasurable.
If you had to give a word to the week.
Challenging.
Highest vibrational moment.
It's the week is still young.
Yep. Okay.
Right. It's Tuesday. I'm hoping for some real high vibes. That's coming in.
Tip of the week.
Tip of the week. I would say sometimes I have so many thoughts bouncing in my
brain. I know you do. I know you do.
I would say share. Your emotions. However that shows up for you in whatever relationship you have, but it's really hard for me. I'm working on it.
Doing great.
I'm working on it. Yeah. Be vulnerable and share.
All right. I love it. I'm in. Stay lit. If you enjoyed this high vibrational conversation, beauty wisdom, or just listening to two friends laughing their faces off, hit subscribe to get us on a bi-weekly basis. And be sure to share it with your skincare, wellness, and woo-woo obsessed besties. If you can, we're also super grateful for you hitting that little heart like button on each episode. It helps us grow. Peace out.